With the 11th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jonah Williams, tackle, Alabama.
Interesting that they picked Jonah Williams, and you listen at the end to see which position they listed. Was it going to be guard or was it going to be tackle? It is tackle for Jonah Williams coming out of Alabama, and that was a lot of question around the league. Which position, Kurt, is he going to play at the next level?
Well, and he could play either, but, you know, you're always looking for those tackles if you can get them. If that's your position of need, that's what you hear right there. But, you know, these are never the sexiest picks, right? Because they're not the guys that score touchdowns. But as a quarterback, you love to know that you're taking care of them on the edges. This guy will do that for Andy Dalton.
When I watched this guy, the one word that kept coming up was consistency. Yep. He blocked his guy. He was in great position. He was never in bad position. He played against great talent, high talent. The guy just blocked his man over and over and over again. Maybe he's not the quickest, most explosive guy, but he blocked. He can pass set. He can drive block. He can back. He can come from the backside. This guy's a good football player.
Well, the conversation about the Bengals leading into the draft is it possible if there's a quarterback on the board that they like, that they would go ahead and select Andy Dalton's successor instead with their first-round selection. They chose a protector for Andy Dalton.
The 12th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Rashawn Gary, linebacker, Michigan.
All right, so there's Rashawn Gary, who's in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and he is emotional. His dream is coming true. Talking to Packers brass right now. So again, the last time that they had two first-round selections, they used it on B.J. Raji, known as Raji Island, when he picked off, as you know, a pass in the NFC Championship game to send the Packers on. And it's a very emotional moment for this young man who, from New Jersey, played his game in Ann Arbor, created his own agency to represent him and set himself up business-wise moving on. And now he's got a Packer hat in his hand, putting it on and celebrating with his family.
And you look at Rashawn Gary, things that jump out at you. He is a freaky athlete, ran in the 4.5s at that size. It's an argument of potential versus production. Similar to Ezekiel Ansah when he was coming out of BYU. You see all the traits. It just didn't always translate into the production. That was the challenge for a team. You got to believe in your D-line coach. You can get out of him. But this type of get-off you see right here is elite. He can win early, just got to find a way to finish. He doesn't do it the first time. He gets it done the second time. You want to play over tight ends? He can annihilate tight ends in the run game. Get off the block, use that speed to pursue laterally, and get yourself a tackle. Coming off the edge, again, that long arm. Use your length. He can convert speed to power, jack the tackle back. Then you're going to come underneath and get a sack. Now, there just wasn't a ton of sack production, but you see the traits.
With the 13th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, Clemson.
There's some value for you. He's my 7th overall player in this draft. I did not think he would end up falling all the way down there. That's why I ended up putting him in my mock draft with the Miami Dolphins, just because the connection. His defensive line coach for the Miami Dolphins, Marion Hobby's the guy who coached him at Clemson, so had knowledge of Christian Wilkins and what he could do. So that's why I put him to Miami. But if you asked me and gave me some truth serum, I said, there's no way this kid's going to be there. And he actually was.
Well, you mentioned your favorite player in the draft. This was my favorite player in the draft when I watched him. The way he plays, his athleticism, his get-off, his toughness, his leadership. And I have to mention, he won the academic Heisman this past year. The Campbell Trophy Award named after a good friend of ours, Bill Campbell, who passed away. This guy's got lateral quickness. He is so active. You talked to Dabo Sweeney. This is one of the heartbeats of that football team. We talked about him earlier. Just coming back to this senior year with a mindset and a mentality to lead it into a national championship and to be a great player, and he's 2 for 2 there.
So all three teams trying to dethrone the Patriots in the AFC East went defensive tackle in the first round. Quinton Williams, Ed Oliver, and now Christian Wilkins.
That's the point Kurt was making, that interior pressure. Quick feet and hands. He's dominant on the backside as a run defender and reminds me a lot of Gerald McCoy when you study him on college tape. Ultra athletic. The range for him as a defensive lineman to play inside out. He slips blocks. He's not going to be a real overpowering player. He's going to beat you with his quickness, push the head down, stay on your feet, and then as a pass rusher, he's got a quick first step, and my favorite scouting term, Coach, he's got tremendous wiggle.
Oh, there's no question about it. This big guy can hop down and do the splits. He can
Look out!
The commissioner went into self-preservation mode right there for a minute, but this guy, I made a 9-clip tape to show my defensive lineman while I'm doing this guy, to show these guys this is how the position is played.
With the 14th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Chris Lindstrom, guard, Boston College.
Hey, can we go back to the combine, Rich, when I said just get this guy to the Patriots? Chris Lindstrom looks like a Patriot. Well, Dimitroff was a Patriot. Scott Pioli was a Patriot. So I'm going to say that's closest to the pin.
With the 15th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, quarterback, Ohio State.
He is from Maryland. As you can see, he's Maryland through and through. The Terrapins wanted him to go to school there and play at Maryland, but Ohio State came and got him. And after leaving Ohio State, he goes home. As you can see at his draft party at a bowling alley in Gaithersburg, Maryland, the folks there know who Dwayne Haskins is and have known who he has been for quite some time, and he has to be thrilled to be the guy going home, the choice of the Washington Redskins.
And no doubt in that division, the Giants were aggressive. The Redskins remained patient. They got their guy. Ideal size and frame. What you love about him, he throws with accuracy and anticipation. The knock, it's been out there through this whole process. A little lack of mobility and some playmaking. But when you watch him scan the whole field, his eyes working through progressions so quickly, and the ball pops out of his hand. Now, can you drive the ball on these cover 2 hole shots? Be able to read that corner, read the coverage, and you got to be able to drive that ball and squeeze it in. Good read, accurate ball. Now we get into the touch. This is a back shoulder fade to keep this game alive on the road against Maryland. That was a huge play in that ball game, and this was the one that would go on and win it. Not the most mobile guy, but this is a good example of his toughness, fighting for that extra yard down there in the red area. My concern, it's not that he can't roll out or run and read option. It's when he gets moved off of his spot a little bit. His eyes tend to be ahead of his feet. He's got to get his feet connected with his eyes. That's going to take a little bit of time. And Kurt, I don't think he's going to have time. I think he'll trot out there week 1 with the starters in Washington.
I agree, and mobility isn't everything. You can still play this game without mobility. But what I tell you what I love about this guy is when you watch him on film, it's the second level throws. I always believe great players at that position make the second level type throws, and you're gonna see one right here. Look at this up over touch, right on the money, giving his guy a chance to run after catch. But you see this over and over again. We're gonna hold the free safety right here, then bang, he's gonna drive this post into tight coverage on the money. You see the ability, once again, up and over. Where do we say? Throw these things high, right at the face mask, where your guy can shield the defender. But you see it over and over again. The 15 to 25-yard throw here. I like this. Get it up and down. Can you get it up and over those linebackers? A bigger margin of error. This kid can make those throws down the field. I think you're right, DJ. I think he is going to be a day 1 starter for them. They still need to get him some weapons to be able to make some of these throws. But I like the fact that he made those consistently. You put on the tape, there were big play after big play with Dwayne Haskins behind center.
The 16th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Brian Burns, defensive end, Florida State.
Brian Burns was a name I heard come up over and over again over the last week. Teams that were down towards the bottom of the first round were talking about trading up. Some teams early in the draft were wondering how far they could go back and still get Brian Burns. He's got the best get-off quickness in this year's draft, coming off the edge. The question was the weight. He played in the 220s. He shows up at the combine at 249, and that was a big feather in his cap that teams were able to get past that weight thing, Coach.
The guy that people kept saying how light he was when he came out of college was Javon Curse. He's too light, he's too skinny. Is he going to be able to, and that guy showed up and dominated the league. I don't know that this guy's that type of a player, but that's what I kept thinking when I kept watching him. You were 100% right. This guy's got a first step that is beyond anybody else in this draft. It is quick, it is explosive, he is long. You see how thin and long he's built, but this guy can get around the edge in a heartbeat.
Spider-Man is his celebration, Kurt. So he just gave a little Spider-Man there with his hands. That's what that was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. So we are halfway through the first round.
The 17th pick of the 2019 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle, Clemson. Second and none!
David Gettleman loves the big hog mollies. He got the biggest. The Dexter Lawrence at 342 pounds, a dominant run defender. In the pass game, he's going to be more of a push-the-pocket style. Reminds me a lot of a guy, Coach, if you were around with the Baltimore Ravens and Haloti Ngata. He's that type of athlete at that size. This guy ran just over 5 flat when he pulled up before the finish line at the combine. He can generate that pocket push. He came off the field a lot on third downs because they had a race car package where they have so many talented players at Clemson. He didn't get the opportunity to rush. That was the only question mark. What kind of a pass rusher are you getting? But you look inside this division when you've got Ezekiel Elliott who can run the ball, the Philadelphia Eagles with a great offensive line, and now Jordan Howard, Adrian Peterson, Darius Geis. This guy will help in that department.
This guy's special. He's from the same high school as Bryce Love. I went to go visit Bryce Love, and we went to the basketball gym and saw this guy. I saw him get a rebound, kick it to the point guard, and fill the lane. At 17 years old, I said, that guy's a first-round draft pick. I've never seen that before. He's unbelievable.
With the 18th pick in the 2019 draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Garrett Bradbury, center, North Carolina State.
Well done. And Kirk Cousins, we don't have video on him, but he's celebrating along with Garrett Bradbury. This is the best center in the draft and one of the best to come out in the last handful of years. Guys, I call him the Grim Reacher, Coach, because I've never seen somebody reach more guys in the run game than what Garrett Bradbury does. He is outstanding with his quickness. You think about guys he reminds you of. You go back and look at Jason Kelsey and Ryan Khalil. He's that type of center. The quickness is off the charts. Let's get to the tape and show you what I'm talking about. Reach blocks. Watch him get around, turn his hips around, and seal. He's very loose in his hips. He does this in every single game. It doesn't matter the competition. Again, reach around. There you go. Seal off the block. Give your running back a nice lane to run through. Then you can watch him work up to the second level. Climb up to the second level, take a good angle, wall off the linebacker. One-on-one pass rush at the Senior Bowl. He was outstanding. He'll give a little bit of ground versus power. He's not the biggest guy before eventually settling back down. You saw that in these one-on-ones, which I thought would be a tough environment for him. But look at the balance, his ability to recover, keep your hands in tight. He's going to start right away. I'd imagine Pat Elflein will kick over to guard.
With the 19th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle, Mississippi State.
Well, they went defensive tackle after all of our conversation about needing offensive firepower. What do you think, Daniel?
Well, he's a top 5 player in this class. If he's healthy, if he doesn't tear his ACL, he'd have been long gone by now. This is a guy that can do everything. Fletcher Cox, haven't been around him with the Philadelphia Eagles. This guy's very similar to him when you study him on college tape. It's an interesting story. There was a video that surfaced of him as a big-time high school recruit. He was charged with simple assault in 2016 for repeatedly striking a woman. And then he was suspended for a game there at Mississippi State. Every scout that I talked to that went through the school said everybody raved about this kid. They've never had one issue with him. Academically, he was perfect, treated everybody with respect. They couldn't have given him any higher praise, and every team I talked to had moved to a place where they were comfortable where this kid is at as a human being. But there's no question he is a dominant football player. They're just not going to see him right away.
Ian Rappaport, what can you add, sir?
video which showed Jeffrey Simmons striking a woman before he was enrolled at Mississippi State was part of the evaluation process for every team. Mississippi State could not have spoken more highly of Simmons if they had tried. Now, from my understanding, he was extremely honest about this video, what led him to hit this woman protecting his sister after someone said something to her that is as bad as you could possibly imagine. It does not excuse anything, but it got teams to a point where they felt comfortable taking Simmons.
With the 20th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Noah Fant, tight end, Iowa.
Well, tremendous value here, Rich, to have Noah Fant still available at this point in time. And Joe Flacco, you go back and watch him when he was at his best. Dennis Pitta was his guy. He loved throwing the ball to the tight end. Now he's got an explosive tight end who's going to be able to scream down the seam. You're going to use him on those deep over routes, Coach. He's going to be a weapon in the passing game for Flacco.
No question. I watched this film. I thought about Jimmy Graham. I thought about Jared Cook from the Oakland Raiders. It's now at the New Orleans Saints. This guy is a mismatch. He is an issue. He is tall. He is long. He is fast. He is physical. This guy on little nickelbacks or on safeties or on linebackers, this guy's trouble. Big quarterbacks love this guy down the middle of the field.
Yeah, I thought Jared Cook as well. Maybe a little smoother than Jared Cook. He could go and move to the outside. You can line him up, not necessarily an inline blocking tight end, but as a wing tight end that you can get him into the secondary. But he is a mismatch because he is so athletic, DJ.
You look at his height, weight, speed, you know who he compares favorably to? It's Vincent Jackson, the wide receiver. That's what type of skill set he possesses.
Well, Fant had an incredible combine, and now here he is as the 20th overall pick of the draft, going to the Denver Broncos.